I was a naval officer in the United States Navy. I was stationed up in Seattle when Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans. I was born and raised in the city, so when you're from here, you have a very special connection to this city. It's like a family member. And when the hurricane hit, it was like a family member who was in trouble and in need. So I got out of the Navy as soon as I could and came back to the city to help rebuild. My idea was I would start a small business to create jobs because there were no jobs really in the city anymore. My original plan was to open a preserve company and make jellies and jams, and thank goodness for the benefit of my future life for sure. I changed my mind at the last second, decided to go with beer because a local brewery that used to make beer here for 100 years had just shut down, and I really wanted our city to have a brewery. There were a million hiccups, and some of them I look back and laugh, and some are still too fresh to look back and laugh on. Probably the biggest hiccup we had was we named one of our beers, I can't even say the name of it legally, but it was very similar to a large reptilian monster that's been in a lot of movies. And we were sued by the movie company that made the movies, and we were a tiny company. We weren't even paying all our bills yet, and all of a sudden we were in $1 million lawsuit. And so that was probably the biggest hiccup. So lessons learned, always make sure that you check trademarks and everything and file properly and get everything done correctly. The first day we got our beer on tap, Dylan Lintern, who's our COO here, and myself, we went to the bar that it was first put on and we ordered beers, and when they poured it we looked at each other and we both, I think, very clearly thought we never thought we'd get to that point. I mean, we started it, and I guess somewhere in the back of my head I was like, oh, maybe we'll get beer out on the market and do great, but just getting that one tap and being able to order a beer that we had made was like the biggest achievement of our lives. So everything after that has just been extra, what we call in New Orleans lagniappe, just a little something extra that we weren't counting on. And so having the great growth that we've had and great support of our neighborhood and our city has really been amazing to us. We started with two beers, a blonde ale and a brown ale, and we named those NOLA Blonde and NOLA Brown because we wanted people to know the brand name. But after that, all the beers that we've made have had separate names entirely. So our hoppy IPA is called Hopatulis. It's named after the street we're on, Chopatulis. We have a 7th Street Wheat, which is a cross street that our brewery is on. We have Irish Channel Stout, which is the neighborhood that our brewery's in, and then a lot of other beers, one called Mecca, which is our Imperial IPA, which used to sound more like a giant lizard, and now it's just called Mecca. Rebirth Pale Ale, which is named after a local band here, the Rebirth Brass Band. And the money from that goes to a local charity that's called the Roots of Music Foundation, which helps schools and kids actually get instruments and then learn how to play the instruments and play traditional jazz and brass music. I think the uniqueness comes from one, the city that we're in, which is unique culturally. And I think that plays out in the flavors of our beers and the way that we drink our beers. So we have some unique beers that most other breweries wouldn't make. We make a brown ale that's 3.9% alcohol. Pretty low alcohol for a craft beer. But the reason we made it is it's a light tasting dark beer. So you can drink it when it's 100 degrees outside and still enjoy a really nice dark colored beer with those coffee and chocolate flavors. But it's super light. It's almost like drinking an iced coffee when it's hot outside. And so we have to play our beers to a temperature and climate that's 90 to 100 degrees 8 or 9 months out of the year. So a lot of our beers play towards that. And then we have so many great spicy dishes and seasoned dishes that we're able to make a lot of beers that not only use those spices, but also accent those spices really well If you're eating crawfish, we make 3 or 4 great beers that go with it. One of them are 7th Street Wheat. We soak fresh lemon basil leaves in the beer. And that lemon basil gives you a citrusy aroma, which is great when you're eating something spicy, but also gives the basil kind of spicy quality to it that plays well with the spice of crawfish or crabs or something like that. There was a beer that we made with some Scottish brewers for a TV show. And I won't go into all the details, but it was terrible. And then we make one that's very popular here, but I don't like it very much, called Drop the Beet. It's made with beet juice, and I don't really like beets, so I would say that would be my vote for one that I don't like to drink. The city now is even better than it was before Katrina in a lot of ways. But it's important for all of us that work here. We're big fans of music, and we're fans of the city and the culture here. And we want to keep that culture growing and expand the effect that our music in the city has on the rest of the world's music. I think it's very important for everyone here that we are associated with the music and culture of the city. So we try to give back to that part of our city as much as possible. The biggest thing I've learned about myself is I have a tendency to get very emotionally involved in anything that I'm working on. So I think more and more I realize that sometimes I'll get too emotional. I get too worked up about something because I care so much about it. And so it's kind of an awareness that, hey, I do have a little Italian in me, and I'm kind of vocal and loud, and I knew that, but that you can show care about something without getting too emotional about it, and be calm about it and still express your concern or your respect for something or how much you love something with a calmness. And I'm learning still to do that. If I was a Mardi Gras parade, I would definitely be Tuck's. Friar Tuck is a kind of great crew here. They're a little sarcastic, they make fun of the city, but at the same time love it. They're a big party group, which I would definitely want to be in the group that's out there partying and having fun. And in fact, I have ridden with them for a lot of years. I haven't ridden the last 2 years, but I enjoy their parade immensely. If I was a girl, I would be in Muses, which you see the tap handle right here for Muses. But they're probably the preeminent female crew out there. They throw a ton of great stuff. They make these great custom shoes that they throw out, which is their kind of motto you see right there. But I think they have that same kind of great fun and revelry that Tux has as well. I'm torn between 3. So they're all music festivals and they're all kind of local. Jazz Fest, of course, anybody who's ever been to New Orleans loves Jazz Fest. It's a great event. It lasts for 2 weekends, and in between those weekends there's tons of music events as well. So I love that festival. But I've really started to grow on Hogs for the Cause and T-Bois Blues Festival. T-Bois Blues Festival, very unique. You go down to La Rose, Louisiana, and you camp out the whole time. And there's 1,500 people at the whole festival, so most of the people you hang out with are either huge music fans or they're musicians themselves. So it's just a really great time to kind of mingle with other musicians and hang out with them and other people that really love live music. My favorite quote is a quote from Winston Churchill. And it's kind of repetitive, but it says, never, 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 never give in, except in matters of good taste. And so I think that kind of goes with the story about when we started. There are times in your life where you just want to quit. It's easier to stop. And certainly had those when I was going through officer candidate school in the Navy or going through law school, and you have these times you're like, oh, you know, it would be easier just to stop. Like, life would still be good. It wouldn't be any necessarily worse for me. But if you've decided to do something, I think you have to persevere and continue on and go through it until you can't, like they won't let you do it anymore. If you're in law school, until they fail you out, keep going. Keep practicing, studying, and keep taking tests, and hopefully you get better and do well. You know, going through officer candidate school, when you go through boot camp or an officer candidate school in the military, they will make you quit. That's how they get you out. So if you don't quit, you'll stay in. It might take you longer to get through. So just don't quit. Make it. That was the goal you set for yourself. Don't quit on it. If it takes longer, it takes longer. Same thing with starting a business. If you're going to start a business, get to where you get the business up and running. And then if you don't like what you're doing, you can change your mind. But get there. Achieve the goal you set for yourself. And then you're going to feel so much better about yourself too, because you did achieve the goal, even if at the end you don't want to do it for the rest of your life.